we have multiple Minnesota Wild updates as they have made multiple moves ahead of Game 5 against the Vegas Golden Knights, including some replacements for injury, and we now have some updates on Joel Eriksson Ek and multiple other players who did not practice yesterday. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video. Very quickly, before we jump into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We notice that just over 90% of you guys watching right now were not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Minnesota Wild news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Minnesota Wild, but without any further ado, let's get into this video here. We have Michael Russo with a lot of updates today. Let's get right underway here with the lines for today's practice. Now, this is the final practice they're having before they go to Vegas, so when we're looking at the skate here, we're kind of getting a good idea of what moves are going to be made, as well as what other possible moves could be made ahead of the game during practice, during skates, and we also got some injury updates. So let's get underway with this. Joel Eriksson Ek is not skating on the first line after blocking the shot from Jack Eichel, I believe it was, in Game 4. Now, hopefully, now that we have that extra day here and we're not playing tonight, we do get a big return from him. Hopefully, he will be healthy enough to play in Game 5. It will be a necessity that he does play because this first line has been something unbelievable to watch with Matt Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov, and Joel Eriksson Ek. We're seeing that line really dominate these playoffs. And Bees, I don't want to call them a one-line team, but have really shown to be that excelling line that the Wild absolutely needed. So right now, Devin Shore is on that first line. Eriksson Ek is not skating. We do have another update here in a little bit for him, but as you see there, on the remainder of this, see Mojo back on the second line. Back, hopefully, will be playing here. He was skating in practice today, which is a big thing, and hopefully we have him back. He was noticeably absent in that Game 4 loss, and it will be good to have him back after he did not play in that game. But at the bottom there, you see Zeev Boyum as well out of this lineup for John Merrill. We're going to be breaking that down here in another moment when we have these individual tweets, but Liam Ohgren, Ville Hinostroza, and likely Short, if he's a placeholder for Eriksson Ek, are the scratches here. And there is a possibility that Liam Ohgren could come into this lineup. Now, we're uncertain, of course, if Joel Eriksson Ek will play. Hopefully that he will, as I mentioned. And this is just at this point the lines for here, and we'll get a good idea tomorrow morning what the case is. And I'll have another video out then for when we get these updates as well when we come down to the game. But it will be a big loss if we do not see Joel Eriksson Ek in this lineup. However, would give Marco Rossi a potential first-line minutes here. And, we'll kind of talk about that when it comes by, and hopefully tomorrow morning we see Eriksson Ek back in. But hopefully he's okay. Tough shot to block, especially against a guy like Jack Eichel. But as we see here, Michael Russo putting this out. Joel Eriksson Ek was not participating in practice today. Blocked the Eichel shot at the end of the third, and I do hope that this just is, what they call a maintenance day or something, or, kind of just resting that up. If it was a stinger, obviously, they suck. You get those for multiple days, you feel them out, and you're fine, but it just is a nagging type of thing that you don't want to see, so hopefully that was what it was for Joel Eriksson Ek. Hopefully we don't see any other injuries coming here, because he has been a very solid player for this Minnesota Wild team. And we look at his stats this year from him. 46 games, a noticeable absence from his usual play, multiple injuries this year, and we don't want to see another one coming out, especially at this time in the season. Although those 29 points are, not all at the top of the team due to those absence in games, he's still been a 20-minute time on ice guy, and even in these playoffs, we've seen him on the ice more, his impact more, everything more from him here in these playoffs, and that's exactly what the Wild need to see, and it would be absolutely devastating if he were to miss any time, and let's hope that is not the case. But with that as well, multiple other moves are going to be made. People played through injuries in these playoffs, and the Wild are prepared for any injuries that may come out here of this series. And another one here that is pretty interesting. Liam Ohgren has been promoted from Black Aces practice to Minnesota Wild practice. He made his NHL debut in Vegas last season. It seems like the Wild are anticipating potentially missing out on somebody here. This could be that, or I'm also expecting just another security blanket to be left here, and hopefully that is going to be the case for Liam Ohgren. If he does crack the lineup, it would be likely for Eriksson Ek, and, as much as I love Liam Ohgren, as much as I want to see him play, let's hope he don't get into this lineup solely because we need Eriksson Ek. There's also the possibility, though, of Gustav Nyquist coming out of this lineup. I know a lot of you guys, not necessarily on this channel, but a lot of Wild fans have been discussing that in Twitter posts and stuff, saying that if Nyquist comes out, if Gustav Nyquist comes out, hopefully it'll be for a guy like Liam Ohgren who can crack this lineup, and really something that we've been waiting to see in this team for quite some time. Now, with that also being a safety blanket, there are guys like Mojo, as I mentioned, who did return to this lineup here today at practice after missing game 4. And this is another big return that we're waiting for. As I mentioned, Marcus Johansson was noticeably absent in last game, and we needed everybody rolling, especially against the Vegas Golden Knights. We need to have everybody healthy in this lineup, which is one thing, unfortunately, the Wild have suffered with this season because we want to see a full depth lineup. We see where we are now. The reason we're playing Vegas is because of the injuries and whatnot. And this team, although we do have quite a few superstars, we're still under that $18 million of dead cap that really is limiting this team to be able to get to a deep playoff run with a full deep set lineup. So having any specific injury like this is just detrimental to the Wild's chances at getting into a deep playoff run, making it to the next round, and hopefully, or well, thankfully I should say, that's off the books next year. But it is very noticeable this year, unfortunately. So good to see Mojo back, and hopefully that means Eriksson Ek is back as well, and or still playing as well, and we'll have that full set lineup for next game against Vegas in Vegas. Because you know what they say, you're not in trouble until you lose at home. I feel like the Wild have a much better atmosphere than the Vegas Golden Knights, as I mentioned as well in the previous video. That a win in Vegas is absolutely big here, and the crowd at XL Energy Center boosts this team for another win. I know there's another loss that we had at home, but I feel like when we win in Vegas next game, this will be the exact route the Wild need to take. But we do have another update here on John Merrill. As I mentioned, Zeev Boyum is out of this lineup today at practice, and looks like John Merrill will make his series debut tomorrow for Boyum. Eriksson Ek maintenance is what Michael Russo here said. So that was hopefully, as I mentioned, the injury type of thing. And Liam Ohgren is traveling to Vegas to kind of sum it all up. But when Zeev Boyum was out, there was a few fans who had some stuff to say. And, we want to see Boyum in, of course. And I completely agree. I think that Boyum has been playing to a decent amount good for this playoffs, especially for his first, 4 NHL games. But there's been a noticeable target on his back. And, I see a lot of the Vegas Golden Knights players targeting him, not in any physical aspect or whatnot, but going to his side, simply something like that on a breakout, going to where that NHL experience just isn't there yet. He's still a very solid player, but there's been that spotlight on him for the Vegas Golden Knights that I think the Wild want to eliminate. So taking him out for one game, I like the idea of. Of course, they can still make that change. This is not an elimination game coming up. So heading back to Minnesota for the game after, I think this gives them that another opportunity to go out here, try something different, and make it work. Because John Merrill's been here, done that. He's that type of player that you can really put in any scenario, and he's been able to do it in the past. So hopefully we do see that kind of work out here in this game. But if it doesn't, I still feel confident that Zeev can come back into that lineup and work out for the Minnesota Wild and see where things do end up going from here. But one final thing I wanted to mention here in this video as well, as I'll pull back up the first screenshot that we had here with the lines. Kaprizov, Devin Shore, and Matt Boley. Eriksson Ek presumably will be back in this lineup here, but the fourth line of Yakov Trenin, Marco Rossi, and Justin Brazeau continues to roll. I don't have the game stats from last game or the hockey stat card, but Marco Rossi has been a candidate to be able to move up in this lineup, and if we do see Eriksson Ek perhaps not be able to play, not be able to go, I think we should see Marco Rossi up on this first line. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Potentially have Liam Ohgren there on that fourth line with Trenin and Brazeau. But I'll pull this up once again. I pull this up in so many videos. Looking at the way that Marco Rossi has played this season, his consistency, everything, he's deserved that higher spot in this lineup. And understandably, being on the fourth line here, at least for now, for this team, it makes sense given the experience that he has in the playoffs is not there yet. But that will soon, hopefully, as long as he stays in the Minnesota Wild, which is a big thing that we need to keep on keeping a tabs on, he will eventually make it up to that second line center behind Eriksson Ek, ahead of Eriksson Ek, whatever they want to do. I think both absolutely work and has that possibility of becoming the 2C that the Wild are really looking for next season. So let me know what you think about all these updates that Michael Russo as well as the Minnesota Wild have provided us here today, and what are your predictions for the game tomorrow? Obviously, we're going to have a video tomorrow morning going over Eriksson Ek, going over all the updates. So if you're looking for that, if you're looking for all of your Minnesota Wild news, hit the sub button right here. I'll have it here. Daily videos, I'll have it here first, hopefully at least, is my goal here. And, you won't miss a beat for the Minnesota Wild. But tune in tomorrow for all the news ahead of tomorrow night's game. I'll have it right here. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.